fault that the van was
He
there?
was guiding him.
I was guiding Ashton.
He put the van in front, so you told him to run into the van.
No, yes, because he was supposed to tell him to turn left, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Man, you missed a good opportunity. Well, actually, you created a great opportunity.
I made the best part of it.
Yeah, you did. That was a good moment. That was a good memory.
And Val, at the risk of sounding like Wayne, anybody claiming that? Yeah! Woo! So, who went to snow camp? Yeah! Listen, I'm sure you guys have some favorite moments of snow camp. Oh, coming back with a Tootsie Roll is always a good thing and expected. As I like to say when I pray, don't play, we don't go there to win, but we plan on winning while we're there. My favorite moment at snow camp, year after year, is always Sunday night after all of the riffraff leaves, and it's just us there on our own down in the basement. That's my favorite time. I love being there. I love watching you guys love on one another. It's just an experience that you will never find anywhere else.
Even though it's great, we don't need that weekend to experience it. We say this all the time, but why can't it be like this all the time? And it can be if we just have enough faith to believe it. If we come together and we love each other, we run to the Father. Yeah. He can do it again and again and again and again. God is not done, and He's not done with you. So I hope this morning that was your prayer. I hope that you could be reminded that doesn't matter where you are, where you've been. If God changed your life once, I promise God can change it again. God, we love you and we thank you. God, you are so good to us. God, we don't deserve an ounce of your mercy or your grace or your forgiveness or your patience, but God, you give it and you give it and you give it. God, let us be reminded now in this moment. Oh God, if you could change our life once, you could do it again. If you could change our life last weekend, you could do it again. And what we feel right now in this room, we can feel it every single day. Jesus, you are going nowhere. You are here till the end. Oh, that we would just let go. Just trust you with our lives. God, we thank you for this place. God, we thank you for floor one. We thank you for the people and the leaders that are here. God, we thank you for the love in this room. We say all these things in your name, Jesus. Amen. All right, give it up for Drew. You don't even know. This is a treat, man. Drew wasn't even supposed to play today. He texted me yesterday. He's like, can I play? I was like, yeah. Drew, you can play all the time. I want Drew to be the soundtrack of my life. I just want Drew to follow me everywhere, and he just plays music for me in everything I do. When I'm rich one day, Drew, that's never gonna happen. I'm a preacher, but when I'm rich one day, I'm gonna hire you to be my personal guy. You imagine how powerful that'd be? Like I go to order something at Wendy's, and he's just playing the soundtrack.
That'd be nice.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Man. Anyway, hey, how's everybody doing today? Good, nice full room. I'm loving it. Hey, don't forget to be back here tonight for the after party. Even if you didn't go to camp, you should come to the after party because there's free food, camp movie, camp awards. It's gonna be great. You should just show up and eat the free food, okay? Like just do it. It's okay. That's what I do. I just try to find people that have free food and eat it. Anyway, so a couple years ago, I went to this concert with some friends, and as we were walking into the arena, I saw this guy standing in front of the concert, and he was screaming at everybody. And he was yelling out a bunch of words. He was saying words like hell, and sin, and burn, and repent, and in the middle of all those words, he said Jesus. Now, two things about this guy. One, it was a Christian concert. Like, we were all people who loved Jesus, going to go sing about Jesus, and he was screaming at all of us. And number two, I knew the guy. His name was Larry. Like, I'm walking by thinking, what is that guy's problem? I go, Larry? He goes, Adam? And like, I stopped and we're like, what are you doing? Just trying to keep people from going to hell. I was like, well, Larry, I'm just trying to get to this concert and sing about Jesus. And it was this weird thing. And then he was like, well, I'll see you later. And I was like, all right, Larry. And so this was a normal thing Larry did. Larry on the weekends would find a busy street corner, or he would go hit an occasional concert, and he would stand with his sign, and he would scream at people, telling them they shouldn't go to hell. And here's the thing about what Larry was doing. Nobody stopped to hear more. And nobody wanted Larry's invitation. And unfortunately, my friend Larry represents a long line of misrepresented people who love Jesus and want people to love Jesus, but they're just not doing it very well. Because when it comes to inviting people to experiencing a life-changing relationship with Jesus, it seems like we have really struggled as the church. Now listen, I've been in church my whole life, born in the church, and I've seen every single way to try to bring people to Jesus as possible. So I don't know if you've ever been driving on the road and see a billboard. We've got a picture of a billboard here. Where are you going, heaven or hell? Like, that's good. But if I don't know anything about heaven or hell, I don't know what to do. And then I feel like if I'm driving fast on the interstate and I try to get that number down, I might wreck. And then I might get there real quick without knowing what I'm doing, right? So someone, we got billboards, or like there's bumper stickers on cars. This guy went real crazy. And I get some of that, but then walk with Jesus or you will go to hell. And that, I mean, if I'm driving, I don't know what's going to happen in that moment, because what happens, like if he pulls off and I don't know the rest of the answer, do I follow him and try to figure that out? And then am I stalking him at that point? I don't know what to do with that. And then one thing we get real clever with in church is we figure out these things called tracks, and we try to create these tracks, and we leave them places. So this was a nice little chance, get out of hell free card, little cute thing. I don't know if you've ever been at a gas station or a place and you find one of these tracks somewhere. But here's probably the worst. The worst is the $100 bill trick, okay? So this is a real thing. This is a gospel track, and it looks like a $100 bill. Let me tell you what's worse than finding a fake $100 bill. Finding a fake $100 bill, and it's a gospel track, all right? Because you're already mad. What is this? And then you're like, who would do this? Who is so mean that they would trick me with a fake $100 bill? Now listen, and we're laughing. All these intentions are good, and I'm as a church kid growing up. They're good intentions because people simply want other people to know Jesus, but just because our intentions are good, it doesn't mean that our methods are always effective. My fear is this: if we're not careful with how we try to help people find Jesus, we might scare people away from Jesus. And my guess is that high school life is hard enough already. Like, you're just trying to survive high school, trying to survive middle school, let alone trying to have a scary conversation with people about faith. So what happens is, for most of us, we don't talk about our faith. And we don't talk about Jesus. So today, as we wrap up the series of The Chase, this talk, I want to share with you a better way to talk about Jesus. Because especially for some of y'all who went to camp, and you got excited, and your life feels a little bit different this week, you need to ride that wave, and you need to share with some people about Jesus. And so today I want to talk about a less awkward, less scary, more effective way. And it goes really like this. If we want people to say yes to Jesus, then we need to be the type of people that others will say yes to. Now, you ever meet someone you just had to say yes to? So, listen, if you don't know anything about me, know this. I was a goody two-shoes, man. I followed every rule in school. I was a firstborn, rule follower, people pleaser kind of person. I only got detention once in my entire school career. Elementary, middle school, and high school. Only once, people, did I get detention. Here's the story. So it was math class, 8th grade, and this girl named Erin Smith, pretty popular, and had nothing to do with me, was in that class. We had a sub that day, and Erin, who's never talked to me in 2 years of middle school, looks over and says, "Hey, Adam." Like, it was so shocking. I didn't even know. I thought there was another Adam. I thought, you, me? And she's like, yeah. She's like, what if we mess with the sub today? Like, I'm not the kind of people that mess with anybody. I don't do anything like that. But I have had a crush on this girl for 2 years. And in that moment, I was willing to go to jail for this girl. So I did it. I just did it. I couldn't even believe as I was doing it. It was like a movie where I was out of body and I was like watching myself. And I was like, what are you doing? This is not who you are. And I'm like, I threw like a piece of paper at the teacher when she wasn't. It was crazy. I did crazy stuff. I got detention. Long story short, I got detention. Erin Smith did not get detention. Erin Smith, if you're looking, I hope you're single. I hope you didn't find anybody. Don't put that on the internet. Don't do that. Ever since Alex started filming, I just feel this need to say things to people that I had relationships with in the past. That's bad. I hope she's single. No, I don't. I hope she found somebody. But it was mean and cruel. She took advantage of my vulnerable heart. And anyway, it's what it was. But I said yes to her. I could not say yes to her. And here's the thing. The reason why we say yes to things is usually not because of what we do, but because of the who that is asking. Isn't that true? Think about the crazy stuff you've done. Most of the time, the reason why you did it was not because you were really sure of that crazy thing. It was just you were just really sure of who asked you. So somebody says, hey, let's go do this just stupid thing. And you're like, okay. Right? Like everything inside of you says, no, you might die. But you're like, yeah, but I just really like this person. They're really cool, they're really influential, they're really pretty, or I don't know. And so we say yes to a lot of stuff, not because of what we're doing, but because of who that's asking it. Jesus actually said it like this. He says, I give you a new commandment. Love each other just as much as I have loved you. For when you demonstrate the same love I have for you by loving one another, everyone will know that you're my true followers. We should be the kind of people that other people say yes to. And what they should be saying yes to is Jesus. So if you want to be the kind of person that people say yes to, and specifically you want to be the kind of person that gets people to say yes to Jesus, let me tell you how you do it. You start with love. You start with love. We try to overcomplicate this thing so much. And we get so worried about what we're trying to say and what we're trying to get people to do that we forget that the person in front of us is a who. And you're a who. And at the end of the day, we are just people that desperately need to be cared for and loved. And you being the kind of person that loves them will do so much more for somebody else than what you're trying to say or how you're trying to say. That's why Jesus said, listen, when you love people, you open up the door to show my love for people. That's how people will actually know who you are. They'll know the kind of person you are based upon the way that you treat them, because the defining mark of a Christian is love. This is what defines us over everything, and it's what should define us. People should know us more about what we're for and the love we have for others than what we're against and what we don't love.
Amen.
But man, doesn't it get jacked up. How many times do people not want anything to do with Jesus because all they know is that people that say they love Jesus are against a lot of stuff? It doesn't feel like there's a lot of love there. But the definition of who we are is 100% love. And this is why I struggle with my friend Larry. And all the ridiculous ways we try to get people to come to Jesus, because it just doesn't appear very loving. Like, I don't know about you, but if I find a $100 bill on the ground and I find out it's fake, I don't feel loved. It just feels like I got tricked. And I think that's what a lot of people in our life feels like. They get tricked. And I think we get so stressed out about what to do and how to work through it, we just don't tell anybody. We just don't talk to anybody about it. And so Jesus, when he tells us about what's important, he says, if you only did two things in your life, the two most important things you could ever do is love God with absolutely everything that you have inside of you, and then you should love people the same way you love God. John, who wrote some letters in the Bible, he actually called himself the disciple whom Jesus loved. That's the kind of relationship he had with Jesus. He says, I'm not John, I'm the guy that Jesus loved, because they were so close. John says this: if you say you love God, but you don't love the people around you, you're a liar. You're a liar. Because the way you love people is the way you love God. So we overcomplicate this thing, and really it's so simple. We just need to love people. We just need to treat people like they're people. Paul, guy we talk about all the time, would say, I can say and do great things, but if I do so without love, then I'm nothing. We get so caught up in what we're doing that we forget the who. And we get so caught up in how we say things and the image and all this crazy stuff that we forget at the end of the day, man, we are just people that desperately need each other. And I promise you, the people that you share life with, most of them, if not all of them, come from some pretty broken stuff. And it's probably been a long time since somebody has looked them in the face and said, I'm going to treat you like a person. I'm going to love your heart. I'm going to love your soul. And I just want the best for you. It's so small, right? Like, in a world where you can be anything, you should just be kind. Because it doesn't cost a lot to be kind. And it's that simple first step that makes the biggest difference when trying to reach out to people. So what my friend Larry is doing is not working at all, because it feels like there's no love in it, right? But what might actually be worse than Larry are those of us in this room who do nothing at all. Like, how bad is that? How bad is it for those of us in this room who have been changed by Jesus? And we've got this life-changing story inside of us, the story of a hero who came from heaven to die for our sins, to save our souls, and we don't share it with anybody. Because we're scared that we're going to look like an idiot. We're scared that if we put ourselves out there and we try to care for them, like it's just going to go wrong. And so not only do most of us not tell anybody about Jesus, but most of us don't even really love people like Jesus, right? Because we're so busy trying to get through our stuff that we forget that there's other people dealing with stuff. And so what do? We just play the game, right? We just go to school, we put our heads down, and we just try to survive. Like, I just got to get through today. And then I'll get through tomorrow. And listen, I promise you, you keep doing enough of those, I'll just get through, and you're going to get yourself through high school, and then you're going to one day wake up and go, man, did I love anybody like Jesus? Did I share my faith at all? Like, what did I do in high school? Because I promise you, when you walk across that stage with that diploma in your hand, you're not going to care about the classes you took, and you're not going to care about, honestly, the sports you played, and you're not going to care about the relationships you had, but there will be a day when Jesus is going to get a hold of your heart, and you're going to really care about the people you did tell about Jesus. And you can't take that back. Because there's a better way to make the world a better way. Paul, in his letter to the Romans, says, for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. But how can they call on him to save them unless they believe in him? And how can they believe in him unless they have never, if they've never heard about him? And how can they hear about him unless someone tells them? And maybe you feel the tension too, right? Like how are people going to believe if they don't know? And you're thinking, yeah, but how do I do that? How do I walk through that tension? Maybe there's this tension inside of you that this incredible life change story that you have in you that you want to share, but you don't know how to explain it. You don't know where to start. Sometimes with Jesus, experiencing is way more effective than explaining. Because when it comes to how we bring people to Jesus, who we are and how we treat people matter more than what we know and how we say it. Listen, you can know all the answers, and you can be really good at the way you explain it, but if there's no love in your actions, and no love in your voice, and love in your eyes, people don't care. Because it just kind of feels like you're tricking them or selling them something. Who you are and the way you treat the people in front of you is so important. That's why a quote that we have shared here on this floor several times is people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's why Jesus says that you should love people the way that I love you. Because when you show people love, you show people Jesus. And Paul would go on to say this, love is patient and love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking, and it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. The answer is love. Because love never fails, and it's all we got. All you and I have at the basic human level is the ability to love each other. And love is this thing that transcends all things. It goes beyond wealth. It goes beyond status. It goes beyond where we've been and where we are. Love connects all of us because at the core of who we are, we just want to be loved. And here's the reality check. Your love is not great enough to save people's souls. And some of y'all need to figure that out real quick because you're hanging out with people and you are giving everything you have to them thinking that your love is somehow going to miraculously change their life. And it won't. If you really want to change the people that you care about, you need to love them the way that Jesus loves you. And you need to, through that love, get them into this community and get them plugged into this body and get them on this floor so that they can hear the gospel and be changed by the only love that can change them. Here's the question you need to think about when we start to close this thing out. Are the people in your life better because you love them? Or maybe it's this one. Are the people in your life not better because you don't? If I could close close out this entire 3-week talk with this one statement, it would be this: chasing Jesus means you love like Jesus. Chasing Jesus means you love like Jesus. You love people till it hurts. You love them no matter who they are, where they are. You don't give up on them. You get them to Jesus. Whatever it takes, you get them to Jesus. Because this is how the world knows the love of God. Through the love from his people. There was this group of college guys who had a class with this single mom who was just struggling to try to make it through school and make it through work and then raise this baby. And so these guys loved Jesus and they wanted this woman to know the love of Jesus. So they just started helping her out. They just said, hey, what can we do for you? Can we do laundry? Can we do dishes? Can we take you some places? And so they just started doing errands for this mom so she could live and survive. And then eventually the mom trusted her enough to start letting these group of college guys watch her kid. They'd show up to the house, they just babysit the kid. They'd all hang out and the mom would go to work and do all these things. And then eventually this mom, she came to church with these guys. And this mom went to church and she heard the gospel. And because she saw the gospel lived out in a group of college guys, she gave her life to Jesus and got plugged into church. And there was a Sunday when this woman was getting her baby ready, getting ready to head to church, and her mom hated church. She says, what are you doing going to church? Do you know what they teach? Do you know what they're about? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? And she said, Mom, stop. I don't know any of those things, but here's what I do know. They held my baby. They showed up to my house and they held my kid and they did my dishes and they helped me out and they loved me. And if that's what the love of God looks like, then I'm in. And I'm in. Chasing Jesus means loving like Jesus. And in a world where you can be anything, you should just be like Jesus. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for today. God, thank you for the space to worship you. You are a way maker. Oh, God, you're so good. Just to be reminded today that the simplest act of love opens a door to your heart that changes your people. God, as we head to groups, we ask that you just be with us. Let that time of conversation be great and life-changing. God, we thank you and we love you in your name. Amen.
Awesome. Welcome back to the podcast and YouTube if you're watching. Today is going to be week 3 of The Chase. Week 3. So an awesome thing here with what it says here. All of us have a story to tell, whether we've been chasing after Jesus or our entire lives. Whether we've been chasing after Jesus our entire lives or are still trying to figure things out. We all have a story of changing the chase. And that story might not only help us to see part of the story that Jesus is writing for our lives, but also help us realize that we have something to share, and that could be an encouragement to the people around us. So, speaking of sharing, right off the bat, we just came out of the snow camp weekend, which was a really good weekend, an encouraging weekend, an awesome weekend, and I think, if you guys don't know, we brought home the dub. Three dubs?
It was that's a W, and then it was my third.
Oh, your third.
And we're week 3. There's a lot of threes.
Yes.
It was my third win.
Yeah, and
I'm
not trying to one up you or anything, but I'm at 9 wins.
Yeah.
So
that's 3 sets of these.
Yes. So anything that stood out for you that weekend?
Man, well, it was everything I wanted it to be and more. It's just we needed it really bad. We just needed to get away as a family and just be together and be reminded that we're better together, and everything was great. There was no big issues, the normal stuff, making sure everybody's safe. I was worried because there was some sickness going around that we were going to start losing people.
Oh, yeah.
But we lost a couple, unfortunately, but we went 95 strong, and we got the win. we got closer. There was decisions made. We saw some people give their lives to Christ, and we saw like 17 students make serious commitments. And then Sunday night was great. We loved on each other and grew closer together. And man, it was everything I know I needed it to be.
Yeah.
For the week.
Yeah. I loved it because watching and seeing something 9 times, you kind of get to a point where you get to see where they were on Friday morning, and then when they ended up on Monday morning.
Yeah.
It was just a big change. No matter what year it is or how many times you've gone, there's going to be a change in somebody's life.
Yeah, that's really good. I've never thought about that, but you're right. Who you see get on that bus on Friday morning and who you see walk out Monday night is 2 different people.
Yeah.
Because of what they experienced, and that's the gospel, right? That's why we do what we do, is because we believe that Jesus can change your life, and when you get away for the weekend, you get a real big taste of that.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to see students making big decisions and letting some things go and taking some steps of faith. It's beautiful.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes. You said earlier this week you're a quotes guy. One of my favorite quotes, if I can remember it correctly, is going to be from what Jordan said. He said, "We've won for too long. We can't start losing now."
That's right.
So
That's right.
That I think that does add a lot of pressure for next year. But I think next year it's going to be a whole different year, different set of people, different types of people.
Because next year we're chasing 10 in a row. Your 10th. Next year we're chasing 10.
Yes.
So
It'll be a good one. A Deca win.
oof. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm ready.
I mean, speaking of the chase, like that's exactly where we're at in the series now. Like this will finish up the series in the chase. We're chasing the end, and what the end talks about here, or the chase talks about here. Chasing Jesus means to love like Jesus. It's a huge thing to understand what that means, because some of us show love in different ways. But when you show love like Jesus, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So one of the scriptures that you hit today during your, what do you want to call it?
Talk.
Sermon? During your talk?
We'll call it a talk. Yeah,
we'll call it a talk.
It's a talk.
A TED Talk?
Yeah.
Or an Adam Talk?
Yeah, it's an Adam Talk.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
it's too long for a TED Talk.
Yeah.
I got to get it down to like 18 minutes for a TED Talk.
So one of the scriptures you hit was John 13, 34 and 35. Under the Passion Translation says, "So I give to you now a new commandment. Love each other just as much as I have loved you. For when you demonstrate the same love I have for you by loving one another, everyone will know that you're my true followers."
Yep.
I mean, you gotta love. And love is in our nature. Love is what we do. Love is how we communicate.
Yeah.
You know, the ways that we say things, the way that we do things, actions, words, all come with a different sort of love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, love is the language. It's the world language. It's the human language. It connects all of us. You know, it breaks all barriers. And at our core, every single one of us, we just want to be loved.
Yeah.
And we want to be cared for because we're people. And when you look at what causes so many problems for so many people, it's because somewhere along their journey, that love got messed up. And where they should have received love, they didn't. And you know, the gospel and what we try to do as people who love Jesus is to just bring that into people's lives and just let God restore that.
Yeah. I mean, it's that connection, it's that relationship. So, you know, it depends on that type of relationship as to what type of answer you get from that. So, like, even though what the first question here talks about, so something as simple as a concert or sporting event, like when someone is to ask you to go to one of these things, it says, what's one concert or sporting event you can not turn down if someone invited you to it?
Yeah.
Like if they said, here, we're going to this place, we're going to that. You have to have some sort of connection with that.
Yeah.
So like for you, what do you have a special sporting event or concert you would definitely go to?
You know, I don't have one that is off the top of my head, but I mean, it's a week away. I mean, it'd have to be the Super Bowl, right? the Super Bowl feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So even if somebody I didn't like invited me to the Super Bowl, I think I could deal with them for 4 hours.
Okay.
To handle, because those tickets they're really expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not much of a Super Bowl football guy. I love watching it with people that I know, and I don't have a special team that I like to follow, but it's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. But if that came along, hey, we're going to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I got a ticket for you. You coming?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if it was something different, like a concert, like a Lady Gaga concert, I don't know. I would have to politely decline.
Regardless of who asked you.
Regardless of who asked me.
If it was someone you loved.
I politely decline. So
sorry, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, she's great. She's a great singer.
Yeah.
She knows her craft. That's her thing.
But that's not your thing.
That's not my thing. So I politely decline.
Oh, that's funny.
So okay, what about this? What makes you want to go to something you've been invited to? So what is like that one thing?
I think for me, it's the anticipation of the moment. It's the expectation. So coming back from snow camp, you know that snow camp's going to be great because when there's people there that are excited, that's it for me. If I know there's a lot of people there and they're all really excited about it, it creates this hype, and I want to be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
So that I think is what draws me in.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I don't know how this will turn out on video or audio, but that reminded me of back, maybe, I don't know how old I was, 12 or 13 or something like that, somewhere in middle school. And I lived in California, and in this town that was all desert, Victorville, and I guess Smash Mouth was coming through. I didn't want to go see them, but my friends that I rode bikes around did, and they asked me to go, and I was like, well, yeah, I kind of do want to go there. And that's actually my very first concert that I've ever been to. But yeah, that anticipation after they asked me that, I was excited. I didn't know exactly who they were at the time. That was, when am I? I was almost 15 or plus years ago, 20 years ago. Anyway, I'm aging myself. Anyways, that was my first concert a long time ago. And when they asked me, and that anticipation just hit, and I was excited about it. And I didn't know who they were at the time.
Was it a good concert?
Yeah, they played all their hits.
Yeah.
They played all their hits. Before it hit Shrek, I got to hear it verbally in my ears before it hit the movie.
Yeah, because when you talk about that song, people only know it because of that movie.
Because of Shrek.
But not you.
No.
Yeah.
I've heard it before. I'm the original hipster of Smash Mouth. I heard it before it was cool. So
yeah.
Yes.
That's funny. That's cool.
So all right. Hitting on the next question. How about this? What are the things you think drew people towards Jesus? So now we're talking about things that we look for. But what about, let's swing it over to Jesus. What are some things that you think drew people towards Jesus and made them want to spend time with him?
Yeah. I think when you read the scriptures, Jesus was just so approachable. He was just open.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who he was talking to, and he talked to a lot of different people. So he talked to the lowest and the highest, and he treated them all the same. And his access, it wasn't hard to get to Jesus. As a matter of fact, there were times that the disciples would try to even separate people from him, and he would constantly tell them, no, bring the people to me, bring the children to me, bring the sick. He just wanted to be around people, and you can't fake that. You can't fake access like that. When you're somebody that's open and approachable like that, people see that, and that's a big deal, because most people, I think, don't get that at all. What they get is denial from people.
Yeah.
They don't get access, and they get a lot of people that don't want anything to do with them. So,
it's funny you say something like that, because I think we humanly do that. And my meaning behind that is, someone like me, I call myself a Christian. I feel like I can follow what Jesus did, and then when it comes time to it, sometimes we make the decision and we sway either to do it or not to do it. Homeless, we are called to help the people around us, and there's been times where I brought blankets and food, and then there was another time I got asked and I had to politely decline and step away from that. And then now looking back at it, I had the ability to help, and I wasn't accessible to that person that needed the help at the time.
Yeah.
And we run back and forth between the two. and when you're trying to love like Jesus, it's something to strive for, but sometimes we fall short of that.
Yeah. What you said is so good. We should strive for that, right? Because that's what it means to chase Jesus. If you want to chase Jesus, you're gonna have to be like him, and being like him means you love like him, and that means you got to be accessible. And I think that's something that you got to work on, like anything else. It's almost like a muscle.
Yeah,
you got to work that out, because we don't always want to be around people all the time. And it's usually those moments that you don't want to be around somebody that should be the moment that maybe there's somebody that needs your help the most. So, yeah, you got to work through that for sure.
Throwing this question out there: if everybody in the world, or in one section or a city, or just a group of people, committed to that, where they don't want to be around people, wouldn't that stop violences, arguments? Wouldn't that just stop all of the bad stuff?
So you said people just shut people out, right?
Yeah.
It would stop it all. Yeah, but I think that's the problem, though, is that even though we don't want to be around people, we can't help but be around people. And the problem is we want to be around people for the wrong reasons, because it's what I want,
right?
Or what can you give me, or how do I control the situation? And I think that's where that bad stuff is. I don't think it could happen. I don't think people can actually shut themselves out. Emotionally, we can.
No.
But not physically, because there is that need. So, yeah, I don't think it could happen.
Yeah.
And it just make things way worse.
Definitely. I mean, I just threw that out there just as playing devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's good, though. It's a good question.
I think we look at that in different ways, but that's not the answer, because I think we strive for relationships with the people around us, no matter what.
Yeah.
In some fashion, whether it be our friends and family, even someone that is helping us out at Starbucks. We want to make sure they're friendly. We're friendly back to them, and we have that quick relationship, and then we can move on and live our lives with not affecting each other negatively.
Yes. Yeah, but to make a big difference, we got to learn how to dig deeper. And I think that was the point of the talk today. It doesn't take a lot to do that. It just takes being kind, loving somebody, treating somebody like a person, looking them in the eye, and in that moment taking time, even if it's for 30 seconds, to look somebody in the eye and say with your body language and your words, you matter. And I could treat you a thousand different ways today, but today I'm going to treat you with love that was shown to me through Jesus, and that changes everything.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. So let's hit this last question, and let's see what we got here. So I have some responses from my small group throughout the day, and I'll kind of throw them in there without giving out names, because there's some good ones and maybe a bad one, but we'll throw them all in there to see what we say, or what you say. It says, even the people who didn't agree with Jesus were often drawn to him. So what makes someone likable enough where even though sometimes you may not agree with them, it's kind of like that agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Can you do that, or can you not?
Yeah.
So a couple of the traits that they said was respectful.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. If someone's respectful, I think you want to be around them. Yeah, because you know that if they're respectful, they're going to respect you, right? You base how you think it's going to work between the two of you, how you treat other people. So, yeah Jesus definitely respected people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Highly.
Yeah.
Highly.
Yeah, he held value in everybody.
Someone who, what was it? Cut his ear off. Guards were coming at him, and his disciples said, "No, get away!
Yes.
Cut your ear off." Jesus said, "Hold on, no. That's not how we do things. Let's talk about this in a respectful manner." Put his ear back on, and then put his hand behind his back to get cuffed.
Yeah, just crazy. But everybody had value with Jesus. Yeah. Didn't matter where your social class was, what your gender was, whether you were a man or a woman, whether you were a child or an old man, you had value in his eyes. And I'll follow someone that values me.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay. Another person said attitude. So attitude would be one thing that draws people to Jesus. attitude would be something that makes someone likable, even though you don't agree with them.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, attitude's everything, and that's something I think we just need to learn as students and as adults, is that you draw people based upon what you put out, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have a good attitude and the way you approach life is like that, you're gonna draw those people into you. And so a lot of times people get upset. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna good friends," or "I'm always surrounded by bad people." Well, listen, you are drawing those people into you. But Jesus had a great attitude, no matter what the situation was. He was positive, and he always drew everything to God. He was the ultimate example of what that looks like. He drew it to his Father, and that's what we should do. Yeah, we should always draw every situation to the Father, because if we say this a lot, if God's in the room, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. So, something that makes someone likable, or an attitude, or being respectful.
Yeah.
What is something that makes someone likable, even though sometimes you may not agree with them? Can they be hot?
Like, are we talking about like to the touch here? Or are we talking about like the looks?
Not temperature. I think when
looks.
he said that, or they said that.
Well, hey, listen. You may be blessed with a beautiful face, and you could get some people to follow you that way, but not always going to be good looking. Sometimes life's hard. Sometimes life hard. Not everybody gets better looking as they get older, like you.
No, well.
So I've seen pictures of you from younger. So you've only gotten better.
Yeah.
With age. Not everybody does.
Not everybody does, but yeah, I
think that might be okay for a bit, but I definitely wouldn't be making major life choices following somebody just because they're hot. Yeah. And definitely don't marry someone just because they're hot. You should marry them because you are,
respectful and have great attitude.
And a great attitude. Yeah, because that can get dangerous real quick.
Yes, it can.
Wow. That's, whoever answered that, good luck with life.
All right, we will definitely be praying for him.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that actually ends our time here, and this is actually a great conversation starter. So, whether you're another youth pastor or a parent or a student, this is a great conversation to have with the friends that you have around you, or your student that lives with you, or bringing up with the youth pastors that you're talking to. So, if you haven't yet, go ahead and like and subscribe. We would love to converse with you. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below, and feel free to follow us. We are on the social medias, so we're tweeting and we're TikToking and we're what else are we doing?
We're Instagramming.
We're Instagramming.
Do you say it like that? Do you say you're gramming? You're TikToking. You're tweeting. Are you gramming?
I think more like Bob Marley style. Boom, 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 boom. We gramming.
There it is.
We gramming. I like to gram with you.
I would follow you. That's a likable trait.
Okay.
Right there. Okay. That's a likable trait.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Have a great week.